And hi, everybody, and welcome here to the Bob Show here on KYCA. This is Bob Recker, your host, and we have a special guest today, but I wanted to make sure that everybody, or I trust everybody, had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We're able to spend a little time with your family and enjoy a special holiday that a place called the United States of America offers to our citizens as a national holiday. And I think it's just a special thing that this country does, and I'm glad we all had a chance to spend some time with our family. So I wanted to say that. And I also want to thank you for taking time right now for the next hour or so to listen to the Bob Show, and hope we have a good show today. We have Mr. Jim Lamerson here, who's from Lamerson Jewelry. He's got his headset on, and I don't know why. I told him he didn't have to wear it, but there he is. So there, Jim Lamerson's with us. And I wanted to start the show by reading something that really caught my eye a while back. I don't know when this was, early November, just before Thanksgiving. There was a big spread in our local Courier about Lamerson Jewelry here on Cortez Street, downtown Prescott, Arizona. And I just thought that this was an excellent article about Jim Lamerson himself, his wife Ann, and the jewelry store. And I wanted to start with something, Jim, that I'm going to read. First of all, I shouldn't be so rude. Say hi to the folks that are listening to the Bob Show.
Hello, everybody out there. I'm glad that Bob asked me to be here today, and I'm apologetic that he was so rude not to introduce me, but now I'm glad I am here.
Okay, well, you can see how the hour's going to go. But let me be serious just for a second and read this to you. I just thought this encapsulates a lot of what it's like to walk into Lamerson Jewelry. I think it was an excellent thing. It says, this is a quick paragraph, says, nothing here is hurried or generic. The place feels less like retail and more like a specialized workshop you might expect to find at the North Pole, a room where everything and everyone appears exactly the way you hope they would. Now, for an article in a newspaper, I just thought that was just almost profound. And, it does encapsulate what it's like to walk into Lamerson Jewelry.
Well, thank you for pointing that out, because, we've worked very hard in the 34 years I've been there to have my store be different than just any old store you can go into. And part of that has to do with the historical ambience of the building. We're in a very historical building. We have the historical vaults, and the character and the ambience. When Ann and I decided to do our own thing and open our own jewelry store, etc., we wanted to meld with the historical character of the city of Prescott. What we didn't want to do is be, the standard bill of fare jewelry type environment that you'd expect to see in a mall somewhere. And you know what? I really like the history and character of downtown Prescott, and that's where I wanted to be. And now we've been there for 34 years. So,
yeah. And another thing this article brought up that I wanted to note that makes it unique, and this part says, together with Jim and Ann, built a store capable of doing almost anything a jewelry customer can imagine, and several things most customers never think about. They cut, grade, grade, evaluate, design and repair. They work with estate pieces, rare stones, turquoise, and intricate repairs that other stores quietly refuse to touch. And I guess why I'm bringing this up is that the uniqueness of walking into Lamerson Jewelry, and she talks about the way you've got everything displayed in those old cases that you've got, and how they're lit, and a lot of those small little details. So
yeah, those old antique showcases came out of one of the original jewelry stores here in Prescott many years ago. It was called Adrian's Jewelry Store, and it used to be where Conrad Brecky had his jewelry store. And I was able to get them out of an old-time Prescottonian who had gotten a lot of stuff, and she put them in storage. Her name was Emma Lou Norris, and when I decided to do what I was going to do with my own store, she came to me and wanted to know if I wanted some antique showcases to be in my store. And absolutely. So they're more than just antiques. They're part of Prescott's history and character to begin with, because they came out of one of the original jewelry stores that were here. And I don't know how many people are here anymore that actually knew somebody named Bill Adrian, but Bill Adrian was a really, really nice man. And so was Conrad and his wife, Conrad Brecky and his wife. They were very nice people. And, there's a lot of people that I've had the privilege of working with in the industry that I've been in now for 54 years. I feel old every time I bring it up. but I was very, very close with Sederberg Jewelers. Sederberg Jewelers is a well-known down in the Phoenix area, Sun City area, etc. And, I really love the jewelry trade. I love being in the jewelry trade. I love everything about the jewelry trade. So, one of the things I didn't realize, Bob, when I put these earpieces on, I didn't realize the guy that was sitting here before me must have had a really little head. And I've always been called a fathead, and I really didn't realize how fat a head I had, because they don't fit me very well.
Yeah, well, you can take them off.
Well, I know that.
Okay. Listen, if you've got a Lamerson story you want to tell, this would be a good time to do it. It's area code 928-541-1016 is the phone number here, and you can call Scotty over there. Will answer the phone and put you on the air, and we'd have a chance maybe to embarrass Jim Lamerson if you've got a really good story to tell. I don't know.
Oh no, you're not going to embarrass me. I mean, there's been a lot of water under the bridge with me. I'll tell you who I've been acquainted with since he even got out of high school. And that's Councilman Blair. Steve Blair is my best crony. And if you really want to have some fun, we could talk about Steve in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we could, if we wanted to. I've always thought it would be a good idea. I've had some odd things I think about Prescott. And one of the things I think, and I don't know how, I guess there's a committee and there's a way to do this, but name something after people that have served this community for very long periods of time, in some cases, like yourself, for a real extended period of time, as Blair did. And so here, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, I got two thoughts. The bridge, LaGuardia Bridge, that goes over the creek over here. I don't care about LaGuardia being here. I don't care about him at all. He's been. It doesn't matter. I think Blair Bridge would be perfect. If we had the Steve Blair Bridge, it would be perfect.
Well,
okay, and because that poor guy, he got accused of being a bigot and some really bad, ugly kind of things during some time past. With most people who are listening to the show don't even remember or know, but it just seemed unfair with Steve for quite a period of time. And those of us who know him know that it's just silly. And Lamerson, the only thing I could think of was Lamerson Lane, and we could figure out some place that, like a cul-de-sac somewhere.
Oh yeah, it'll be some alley that's full of garbage and such. I get it, Brecker. You know what? You have to be a lot sharper than that to get in front of me on that. So anyway,
but yeah, Steve Blair would be a good person to. Well, of course, you can.
Well, I knew Steve before he actually. I knew his dad first. I knew Johnny first.
Yeah.
I knew Faith, and
yeah,
they're wonderful human beings, or they were.
The bakery folk,
everybody's gone now, but
delivering bread everywhere.
Yeah. Steve was a good young man, and we started hunting together, probably 45 years ago, somewhere close to that. And Blair and I have been doing that for a long time. So I would think that he would be a very, very good candidate to have something, whether it be a street, whether it be a building, whether it be an outhouse, whatever the case would be.
Perfect. Listen, I want to get back to the jewelry store for a minute, and I wanted to touch on this, and I made a little note here that says "out of this world."
Yeah.
And I want you to, this is a very good example of the uniqueness of Lamerson Jewelry. Before we get off of that subject, on to something else, talk to the folks about what out of this world means.
Well, right now we have paleo artifacts in the store that are being collected on some properties that my daughter's beloved is associated with, the family, etc., down in southern Mexico and what have you. Anyway, they've found some things, and what we have at down there are these paleo artifacts that were reminiscent of alien space travel, etc. And
Yeah.
some of the sculptures that are done on these artifacts, we use that word. We use relics. You name. It is what it is, but they're very, very interesting, and I think that's part of what. Was it Cynthia that I think?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's some of what she was trying to relate to, because of not only do you have that, but you have that original vault that was put in the
Still
building.
says
that I'm
Arizona
in.
Bank on it.
Yeah, it says Arizona Bank, but it was actually the vaults came up in 1907 from the First Bank of Benson, and they were brought up by mule train, and they were put in the building, and we've had them all refurbished and everything. And when you walk in, those vaults are just awesome. I mean, you can't walk away from those vaults. And then, of course, I use that store for several different reasons. Number one, it's my jewelry store, but just as important is it's my art gallery, because all the paintings in there are mine. And so she was really taken back with some of the things I paint about, and so that was part of the.
Sure, it's a perfect place.
So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You never think that some of what you see on canvas up there on the wall came out of my head.
Yeah, I know. And there's lots of them. I mean, there's lots of stuff to do. And we're talking about canes, and you make canes also. And we're supposed to be taking a break, but let's do the canes real quick. You've got a cane there. If you hold it up, tell the folks what this cane is.
This cane I did to commemorate the hot shots. And what had really happened is I started a cane. I'm very religious. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I'll say it here. I'm very religious, and I started this with Saint Florian, the patron saint of the firefighter. Anyway, I started this cane, and then we unfortunately on June 30th we lost our hot shots.
Yeah.
And so I continued the cane, and I finished it up with tortoise shells, because the hot shots work so methodically and so slowly and so fervently. I thought tortoise shell was the thing to really speak to about our hot shots, right? And of course, it's not only am I very religious, I'm very patriotic. So you'll see my American flags on all my canes, and of course, I can't go anywhere without putting something Republican on my canes. And then here's my guardian angel right here, and then my rotary, because I'm a Rotarian, and so this is one of my favorite canes. I have 77 different canes, and I'm in the arts, and
and some of the canes are for sale.
Yes, I have canes for sale down at the store,
Okay.
and then I embellish canes for people. I take their memorabilia and put them into something they can lean on their memories, not necessarily mine, but theirs. And what they are, they're very similar to what the Indians do. They have storyteller dolls. I have storyteller canes, and that's
There you are.
Yep.
All right, it's time to take a break. Probably past time to take a break. So let's go ahead and do that. When we come back, we're going to talk about some civic things that Jim's been involved with. So stick with us. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Bob Show. I'm Bob Recker, your host. We're talking to Jim Lamerson Jewelry, and we've just talked about some unique things about the jewelry store. But I want to move on to another issue, and that is public service or civic service. And I know a lot of people who watch these kinds of talk shows, the local talk shows, have been here for a short period of time. When I say short period of time, maybe a couple, 2-3 years, and when you move here, when we moved here, we just had a sense of this is where we're supposed to be. This is a wonderful community. It's a good place to be. It's a good place to raise children, and we decided to stay. And we've been here for over 40 years, like Lamersons have, and getting closer to 50 years actually. And I just wanted to have Jim touch a little bit on some of the things that you've done in our community. In addition to, and we can talk about that, serving 16 years on Prescott City Council, which is 4 terms, 4-4-year terms, and it's not easy. I served 2 terms, and I would not have won a 3rd term. I would have been defeated. I would have lost that. I've convinced myself I would have. And this guy did it for 4 terms. So tell us a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce.
I was chairman of the board for the Chamber of Commerce several times, and I'm a big, firm believer in the Chamber of Commerce. I don't think there's any better organization in any community than a Chamber of Commerce that serves not only the employers and the businesses and the business environment, but the employees. And the Chamber of Commerce is a good bridge between community service and a person. I mean, to want to help this community, I would encourage everybody to become a member of our Chamber of Commerce. Our Chamber of Commerce is an institution that helps keep the community vibrant, whether it's just the downtown or whether it's the periphery, whether it's the new malls, whether it's the this or the that or whatever. The Chamber of Commerce is the one that's out there knocking on the doors, making these people feel welcome, bringing their businesses into this community, which brings the employment and brings the education base, brings all kinds of things that happen here, including the hospitals and, the care that we are able to get because people like the Chamber of Commerce that go out and solicit to help. So, I mean, I'm really big for the Chamber. And then I've been a member of the Rotary Club of Prescott now. Oh, gosh, I'm probably the longest sustaining member in the club, and I've been a member in the club that I'm in, the Rotary Club of Prescott, since 1979. And I really like the concepts of Rotary, and that's service above self. And in order to participate in service above self, you have to understand what that actually means. And that has been sort of my mantra since I moved to Prescott. And I really love being part of the Rotary Club here, too. I was commissioner here in town for several different commissions, whether it be the commission. I served under Sam Steiger at his behest when he was the mayor here. And then he asked me to help start something that actually morphed into what is now the Downtown Partnership.
Yep, Prescott Downtown Partnership.
It used to be the Prescott Association or the Downtown Association or whatever it was, but it morphed into what's now again. And the big thing for me was I wanted to get the chamber in off the governmental dole, so to speak, because at one time we took a lot of money.
We did. Chamber did.
Yes, they did, from bed tax and what have you. But that isn't government shouldn't function beholding to government money. The chamber shouldn't do that, and nor should a Rotary Club or anything else. They should be doing these service things because they want to and because it's the right thing to do. Well, it's pretty hard to do some of these things if you're financially obligated in a sense. Right. And that's when we actually broke taking the bed tax money from the city is when I was chairman of the board.
Marvin Pitts was also involved with that effort too to move away from the city money for the Chamber of Commerce. And you think about some of the stuff the chamber does, and I'm thinking they still do the Christmas lighting, right?
They participate, yes.
They're not actually putting the lights up like we used to do, but it's kind of grown from that. But
yeah, they participate, but there's another organization that's involved with that too.
okay,
And
so,
it's Matt Broussard, I think, is his name now. That's really instrumental over on Whiskey Row, and they have a lot to do with Jersey Lily, the Friends of Jersey Lily, and what have you.
Yep.
And I don't know all the ins and outs, because I've been out of the picture for a long time. But there's a lot of people in this community that make this community function well.
It all kind of fits together like a crossword puzzle, or not a crossword, a jigsaw puzzle, where different parts kind of go together and things get done. And that's been going on for a very long time. And one of the things I was thinking about, now you're going to think I'm crazy when I talk about this, but Elizabeth Ruffner insisted on putting those things on the corner downtown where you put flowers and plants and stuff in. She just wanted to have that done, and I remember people saying, "Oh, cars will run over it and everything," but it actually has worked itself into a very nice thing about downtown Prescott.
It makes it feel more homely, and then there's planters that go up and down the various different streets, and you'll see somebody come that takes care of the flowers, and they water them, and they do all of that.
Yeah. All right. It's bottom of the hour. It's a hard break, so stick with us. We'll be after that. We've got a lot more to talk about, so stick with us. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Bob Show. Thanks for sticking with us. We're talking to Jim Lammers from Lammerson's Jewelry, and I want to get into another particular subject, but I don't want to get off of the city council thing because we didn't have enough chance to talk about this. Jim Lammerson's the guy that was known as the guy who walks around with the Constitution in his pocket. And we teased him about it once in a while, but he had the Constitution in his pocket, and the reason is that he was focused on that issue and the things and how we have to comply with, bigger things for the little things that we're doing sometimes. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you focused on when you were on city council for all those years. And he's looking for his Constitution right now. By the way, area code 928-541-1016, phone number if you got a minute, and there it is, the Constitution. Now you look at that little piece, the thing he has on in his hand right there, about 6,000 words. Takes care of the whole country with 20-some amendments now, 27 amendments, 25 amendments, and but it's still for a 250-year-old piece of information. It's amazing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What was important to you when you were on city council?
I thought the role of a city council was to do for the public what the public can't do for themselves, which is basic services. And basic services, police, fire, water, sewer, trash, roads, etc. Now, one of the things the public can do is it can empower the elected body and the hired body, the staff. They can empower them by making sure that the money is available to do what's necessary.
Sure.
You need new jails, you need new sewer systems, you need new this, new that. And this community, when this community needs something, the people in Prescott, Arizona stand up, and they've never let us down with regards to making sure the money was available. Perfect example of that was Prop 443. I believe it was Prop 443, when we really needed to pay down the debt that had been built up through mismanagement, not of the city of Prescott, but of the investment brokers that were farmed out down in Phoenix, etc. That ran our PSPRS, Public Safety Retirement, up so high. And you know what? We set out to generate the money that was necessary to do this, and we did it. And and not only did we do it, we did it 5 years early, and we paid it off early, which saved us $7 million in interest only. And another one that I was very proud of when I was on the council is we built a new sewer plant. The pooper was broke, the dump was broke, there was all kinds of things falling apart. And we took care of a lot of these things. And then we also came up with a way to fund our roads. Look at the extra sales tax the community backed and said, yeah, that's a good idea. We really need to do this.
Well, it's interesting that, the Justice Center, what a lot of people are calling the new jail, the Justice Center over there off of Prescott Lakes Parkway is a good example of what you're talking about. And you brought up the trash collection thing. If you look at that berm behind the Justice Center right there, that was Prescott's dump, and it was decommissioned, and we followed all the rules and everything to decommission it. As a matter of fact, I think it's still being vented for methane and all that kind of thing all these years later. But those kinds of things, basic service kind of things, people, like you said, people don't really think about that. They kind of expect it to happen, but it doesn't happen unless you focus on it at the local level through the local city councils.
And when we needed to solidify our water portfolio, and we bought the lakes to where we would get the credits for the amount of water that we were actually doing with recharge and what have you. This community stuff, we spent, I can't remember, I think it was around $32 million, $35 million to buy those body of open space. Oh, we spent a lot of money on things that people said we never did, and that's not true. We bought those, and that they were open space, and they were put into perpetuity. I mean, you couldn't do certain things around those bodies of water, like build and what have you, so that we could keep in perpetuity that land.
Sure.
which more or less guards.
Well, we were in negotiation with various parcels in the Dells, and all those things. That were ongoing issues all the time, which people at the time were thinking, well, they're all ignoring those things, but we really weren't.
No.
But at the same time, you have to keep things in balance,
I would
and
not.
you have to be sure that basic services are taken care of
I would
first.
knock on wood and recognize another very important family in town. It was Jimmy Storm. And I would like to knock on wood with the Keycaffers and the Fanaras
and the
and
James
the
family.
Savawinis and Ron James and
John
Laura.
James,
All these people stood up to the plate to ensure that this community is more than just a town on a map. And a lot of these people have done a lot. Whether it be with look at what Mike Fan did with just recreation.
Sure. Look what James did with the Elks Theater. The Elks Theater would have gone away if it wasn't for the city of Prescott and the James family. They, put up a lot of money and did a lot of things, and it just keeps going on and on and on.
And they always get pasted as dirty, rotten developers, and it's really a hurtful type of a scenario that people would dare use their properties to try and do things that were beneficial for the whole community, not just themselves.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we gotta take another break. Let's go ahead and do that because I want to move to a different subject right after we come back. So stick with us. We'll be right back. And thank you for sticking with us here on the Bob Show. We're still talking to Jim Lamerson, and I want to start this next segment of the show with something I wrote down here, and I called it "I Bet You Didn't Know," and the reason I did that is because there's stuff about Jim Lamerson that most people in this community don't know, and I'll give you an example. He used to be a wrestler. He won some medals as a wrestler. He in his youth. He was a lifeguard. He spent some time in archery, all kinds of different things. And the whole time he was doing these things, he had another issue that he was dealing with that altered or formed the way life brought you, Jim. And I'd like for you to talk about it a little bit if you want to.
Well, what Bob's alluding to is I deal with MS. I have multiple sclerosis. And we didn't know I had multiple sclerosis until somebody ran a red light and T-boned us out on 89. and my skull was fractured in 4 places, and I ended up down at Barrows, and they did all the stuff that people do in hospitals and blah, 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 and they detected that I had demyelination. Now, we always knew from the time that I couldn't go into the military when I was 18, 19, and then again when I was 21 years old, that something was medically wrong, but we didn't know what it was. And at that time, the difficulty in diagnosing multiple sclerosis was high because it's kind of an APER, and what it does is it mimics other diseases and such. So I was misdiagnosed for a long, long time, and it wasn't until the skull fracture that I actually hey, there was some good news about that, though, because they said I had a closed head brain injury. Well, the good news is they found out I have a brain. I mean, it was like when I had a vapor lock, and they found out I actually have a heart. So,
I was going to say.
Yeah, I kind of felt like, oh, what was that with Dorothy and the Tin Man and stuff. So anyway. There's things that a lot of people don't realize about other folks and some of the calamities they've had to deal with in their life. And I would have a tendency to say the biggest issues I've had to deal with, and I really didn't even know I had, like I said, I didn't know I had the MS until I was 53 years old when I was actually diagnosed. But I was 18 years old when I flunked the medical for the military the first time.
And you belong to a very military background family.
My whole family are military, and here I am. I get to peel potatoes in Louisiana because I can't get in. I flunked for the Air Force. I flunked for the Navy. I flunked for the Army, and so what am I going to do? You
had the Marines. Why did you?
Well, that's nothing but the glorified Navy. So I mean, they don't like to admit that they're the busboy for the Navy, but my half my family are Marines, so I can get away with that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. But anyway, needless to say, there's a lot of things that we do, and one of the things I've taken a lot of pride in that is public service and being involved. I wasn't able to serve my country in the military, but I've been able to serve my country in different ways. And one of the things I was able to do is volunteer for a clinical study down at Barrows, and allowed them to use me as a petri dish and do experiments and stuff like that, and come up with chemicals that would help. And actually, it was the Teva Corporation out of Israel that came up with the chemicals that I inject every day, and you wouldn't know I have MS unless I actually told you. I'm very proud to say that I'm a product of Israel in that regard.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the Israelis and their technology and what they were able to do to come up with this chemical, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know how the MS would have progressed.
Yeah. Well, it progresses no matter what you do, right? I mean,
actually, what happened is this chemical
goes into remission.
No, it emulates the myelin, and what you do is you transfer the deterioration of the myelin from at the base of the brain, and it goes to where you're doing the injections. And I have 7 different injection sites, so the MS attacks that rather than my brain. It leaves my brain alone.
Okay.
So
well, that's good. You don't want anything else.
So that's sort of the way I look at this. I mean, for every problem,
okay.
there's a silver lining. And the silver lining of the skull fracture was we found out at that point it absolutely was MS.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and when you look at some of the bio stuff, you were an active person as a youth.
Oh, absolutely. I wrestled, I shot archery, I bowled, I lifted a lot of weights. Shoot, Bob, you wouldn't know it, but I bench pressed 385.
Wow.
And I did 185 reps 3 days a week. I did a lot of weights.
Yeah.
And
which probably it helped, I suppose, right? Would that make sense?
I would think that it built my system up to be able to resist the MS. And it wasn't until I used to play a lot of racquetball, and it wasn't until I started having issues with my sight which is common with people with MS because you have twisted optic nerves and there's certain things you don't realize. But I became a target rather than
when they actually
enjoying the
shoot
game.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, needless to say, I had to give up playing the racquetball too. So I had to give up shooting the archery because of the way I used to pull a 75-pound draw, and we used to do a lot of competitive shooting. I was a very good archer, and I'm very proud of that. I was president of the Pine Ridge Bowmen, and we sponsored the field archery suit for the Olympics, and I want to say it was probably, I came out here in '79. It was probably this. If it wasn't '76, it was '78. It was one of those years,
Oh, okay.
and when we had the archery part of that, the field archery
Oh, that's
part of that
interesting. Yeah.
at that time. So yeah, I shot a lot of archery, and I did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is a good time to take our final break. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll be right back. I'm going to talk to Jim real quick about what's changed and what's stayed the same in downtown. And so stick with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Bob Show. We're still talking to Jim Lamerson, and we've got a lot to cover, but I want to focus on the downtown for the folks that are new to the area. How we see, I saw some of the older folks have been around here for a while, see the downtown area and some of the changes and the major change. And while we were on break, I was sitting here looking at Jim and say, do you realize that the city hall that we spent all our time, you spent 16 and I spent 8 years in that building, a lot of time, and it's gone.
Yeah, and that building was actually dedicated by Barry Goldwater. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of sorry to see things happen, but on the other hand, change is going to happen, and growth is going to happen, and things need to happen to keep the downtown vibrant. And I think there's a good plan as to what to do with the properties as far as rebuilding some of the sales tax base that's necessary to support our police and our fire. And we need to keep areas like downtown vibrant so that we can keep our police and fire departments vibrant.
Absolutely. And like you just said, these things evolve, and a lot of people don't know that building had a basement, and it was originally the location for people to go in an emergency way back in the early time of when Arizona was just becoming.
And we got that emergency alarm thing in my store.
Yeah.
And they were testing it a couple of days ago to make sure that they could hear us from here to Ethiopia. And I'll tell you what, my staff didn't realize they were gonna test it, and they just about died. I mean, because that thing, I mean, you can hear it over in Seligman. It was really very funny.
Yeah. You know, the call center is one of the things I'm just thinking about now that was right across the street. And still, where we combined the 911 calls and all the emergency
Dispatch
calls
center.
and everything. What are we calling it?
Dispatch center.
The dispatch center. And those things, again, they don't just happen. They do with a coordinated effect. And that's another thing, folks, if you're new here, that we could talk about is that those kinds of things, the sheriff's department, the municipal police departments, the fire department, everybody coordinates and everybody cooperates. Central Yavapai Fire District and our Prescott Fire Department all coordinate everything they do on an ongoing basis.
And we've kept the character and ambience of our downtown sacred like it needs to be. I mean, that's the tourism attraction that comes to this area, and I think we need to keep it that way.
And one of the things is a good example of that is the new hotel that's going to go in. And all the angst that was involved with that and how it evolved and how it's going to end up now. Well, those, we agonize through changes that happen in our community. And there are some folks around, like, for example, with City Hall got torn down.
Well, part of keeping Prescott's is respecting our core values, and part of our core values in Arizona are private property rights, period. Private property rights are very important, and people own their property, and they should have a right to do with their property as long as they don't cause a public health or safety issue, right. What it was zoned for and what was negotiated. So I'm glad that things are moving forward on that issue.
Well, I think the historic group made certain demands, certain requirements of that property, and to my knowledge, they were all complied with, or they were all agreed that they would do these certain things. So, the change that is almost inevitable was still cause concern for our community, but eventually, I think both sides got a little bit about what they were looking for. And in the courthouse plaza, I think get back to Elizabeth Ruffner again. She said, we don't call it the square, it's the courthouse plaza. That it still has grass. And I can remember when we first got here. One of I don't know, what do you call people that deal with trees?
Arborists.
Arborists cut the trees way back, and boy, the city was in an uproar there. Oh my gosh, we didn't know we were doing things. We're going to be and look at it now. I mean,
Well, you have to take care of trees like that because they're not native per se.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that when you do that stuff, you take care of them.
And changing the sidewalks, putting in the bricks, the little paver things, that was all a big thing too. And well, who owns the pavers and who owns the grass and who owns the county owns the courthouse and the city owns the paver. I mean, all that stuff was going on, and we go through all these things downtown. But ultimately, when you look at what has transpired, at least to date, and I think that I agree that the area where City Hall was, that it lends itself to a much better use than it was, because they moved anyway. So that particular building became something that was not at this point in time necessary.
The renderings look like it's going to be nice.
Yeah,
so I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be nice. It's going to be complimentary to the old post office. I don't think you're going to have somebody put the kind of money that's going to be spent in a piece of junk.
Well, I don't either, and I think all in all, I think the city's still vibrant. Downtown's still vibrant. Whiskey Row's still healthy. The people that are running the businesses there seem to be doing well, and but it's an important part to our community itself and to the county in general.
Me too.
Agree, right?
I agree.
Okay, and good old Lamerson's Jewelry's still down there and still bumping along, and good things are going to
Yeah, we're having our pre-Christmas sale, so everybody run down to the store.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you are. So there's a piece of advertising right there. Okay, we have a minute left. If you were going to give a sentence or two of wisdom for folks, what would it be? I know it's unfair to say that.
Well, I appreciate Prescott staying Prescott, and part of Prescott is not just our character and ambience from a physical perspective, but it's one of our core values, and our core values in Prescott are very, very important. And private property is an issue here. It's very, and we're moral. You know, we're not one of the Sin City.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Yeah.
And
we haven't even talked about the world's oldest rodeo or some of the other core things that we do in our community. There's so much to talk about.
And our fun thump with Whiskey Row. I mean, let's face it, Whiskey Row used to be pretty rough in the olden days, but look at it now.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yep, it sure is. All right, folks. Well, we thank you very much for listening to the Bob Show today. I hope you got some new information and it was informative to you. We'll see you again next year. Happy New Year and Merry